sur le podcast Triforce. Je suis rejoint par Sips.
Bonjour.
Et Louis Brindley du Yogscast.
Allô.
Je suis Pyrion et nous espérons que vous apprécierez nos balades.
Oui, c'est une week magnifique.
C'est beau.
C'est très
Insérer
bon.
des concombres dans ton cul et après ça, peut-être tu peux felcher moi. S'il vous plaît.
Felche, I hope it is that different.
Tu aimes le felching?
Est-ce que voulez-vous felcher moi?
Oui, le répertoire de Felch.
Oh man, I like that. Anyway.
Oh God, I just had to close the door. I just noticed there was a man out there with a meter, and he was looking at me really funny when I said "tu aimes le felching." I sort of looked around, sort of slightly horrified that I'd said it, and then he was looking at me horrified.
Tu veux felcher, monsieur?
Is he in the office or something?
Yeah, just a random sort of. I think he's got one of those. It looks like he had one of those moisture counters or something. He was
Oh, well, he's
holding it
going to
up.
need to look for some moisture up your butthole.
Oh man, God.
What an intro!
Nice one, Flax. Fucking
That
nailed it.
GCSE French really came in handy.
Nailed
there.
it. God,
So
very good.
yeah, what you guys been doing? How's the baby? How's the dad life?
The
How's
baby is
things treating you?
6 weeks old as of yesterday, which is time flies. That's a month and a half old already. She's getting big. She's feeding well. She's making moves towards sleeping longer at night, which is pretty good. Whereas we would get maybe 2 to 3 solid hours of sleep in a night without interruption. Now it's like pushing 4 or 5. We had a 7 hour the other night, which was pretty good.
A record, a new record.
It's all
That's
timing,
like a real
though.
night of sleep.
Yeah, like sometimes she'll just want to feed a ton before she goes to bed, which is great because then it just like knocks her out for a couple of hours. But no, it's good. She sort of realizes when it's nighttime. She's sleepy when it's nighttime and stuff. So it's getting there. It's
Awesome.
It's a slow process, but once things start falling into place, the whole thing becomes much better. I'm sure you can agree with that, Flex.
I absolutely can. There is nothing better than a good sleepy baby. Let me tell
Yeah.
you. Like it's just it's amazing to me when you have kids as you have now 3.
Yeah.
And it's reminding me again listening to what it's like. It's amazing how much basic stuff brings you joy again, like getting to sleep, your kid eating something. Because now I just say to my kids, make sure you have some breakfast, and they go, all right. And they either do or they don't. And if they don't, they'll be all right. They'll wait till lunchtime and they'll have something. It's on them.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not hungry. I can relate to that. But with babies, you do not have any of that kind of choice. It's all on you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing. The joy that you get. You're like, oh, yes, I got 5 hours sleep. Oh, this is going to be a good day. Yeah.
And it's like also like it's like the little victories in the day as well. It's like, oh, she's sleeping. Oh my God, she just slept for 4 hours and I've sat here and watched 2 movies.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, those are great times
but don't
too.
you
actually.
think in a way I think it's very healthy mentally to have a series of small victories during the day. I mean, obviously the hard stuff is hard.
Honestly,
but
I've always maintained this even outside of having children and stuff. Like me and my wife have talked about this a lot throughout the years. By the way, we just celebrated our 18th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
I say celebrated.
Wow.
We acknowledged it at like 3 a.m. while the baby was up, and we said, "Oh yeah, well done." But yeah, it's been 18 years since we've been married.
Congrats.
And but this is something that's come up like time and time again because you have these sort of like, I don't know if you do this, Flax, having been married for a long time and stuff, but you have these sort of conversations every once in a while about, because I met my wife when we were both, late teens, just becoming adults, right? So we got together, and a lot of our kind of growing up, if you like, developing as people, we've done that together. All along the way, there's always been kind of like stop points, break points where we've been, you kind of do like you kind of analyze like what you're doing and how you're living, and whether you're happy doing these things and stuff.
Wow.
And like the little victories thing has come up
it's a big
like
thing,
a lot
yeah. It
over
is a
time,
big thing.
where it's just like like a little victory could just be
we just ate a hobnob.
Yeah. Well, no, it sounds stupid, but it's so true. Like I mean, I've worked at some pretty shitty jobs that I haven't liked before, and one of the things that helped me get through it was just having a routine of like, okay, I know I'm going to get a coffee in the morning, or I'm going to get, I know it sounds stupid, but like
it does actually.
Working at a job that you hate is fucking stupid as well. So
you look
it's just
forward
like,
to those little moments.
It enables stupid. Yeah. So you're
right.
You have to do these things, right?
When I was working as a shitty like medical typist at the Broomfield Hospital, the thing that got me there was that the hospital had quite a nice, weirdly, canteen,
right?
And I was excited to go and have the fry up breakfast every morning because I got it for free.
Yeah, that's nice. Those that's what I'm talking about. You know, like it's just those little things. But like Flax is saying, you notice it a lot more with babies because they become a lot more important. But I find it interesting. I think it's a healthy thing to do mentally to help you along. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
And if you're not doing it, maybe you could consider doing it. You know, just look at look at these small mundane things as things that can prop you up throughout the day, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But maybe not so much like I did a line of cocaine in the bathroom at work.
Right.
I don't know if that's
if you could say I did a line off a big old pair of titties in the bathroom at work, then that's a small victory, I'd say.
It's
but
a
just
tough one
on
because
your own,
on the one
not
hand,
so much.
that's amazing. On the other hand, I don't know how long term that can, how long can that realistically go on for before it starts becoming
just a routine.
Problem.
Yeah,
a big problem in your life. I don't know. So.
Yeah, agreed. But by the time this podcast goes out, it'll be my 20th wedding anniversary. So you and I have both been in very long-term relationships, and I think
wow, way to like undermine Sips's achievement.
No undermining. It's a comparison, and that's all that is.
Or overmine.
No, because I'm older than him, so it makes sense that I've been married for.
I'm only messing. I think it's a huge achievement for both of you. That is, as someone who isn't even married, like, I mean, how old would I have to be to have a 20-year wedding anniversary right now? I'd have to be 57. That's pretty scary.
Is that how old I am, or is that how old you're saying?
No, that's 20 years from now for me.
Right, yeah. We've been together, like, since we were 18, and I, like Sip said, grown up together in a way. Like, it's all very well. Like, when you're 18, you're not really an adult. You know, you're legally an adult, but you've got so much adulting to do, and there's so many things you haven't done yet that you're gonna need to learn the hard way about all kinds of stupid shit, and like all those responsibilities and stuff like that is what really comes with adult life. Getting a job and worrying about bills and shit like that. Your 20s and your 30s, I think, are the harder bits.
I think it's incredibly impressive that couples grow up and change completely. Because when you're 18, you're completely different to when you're 36 or 46, or I'm always impressed that people still are very deeply in love after that amount of time, considering how much both of them must have changed.
I wonder if it's because
you've changed together.
Yeah, but because you've experienced so much together, maybe you've changed in the same ways. So it makes you sort of compatible.
I definitely noticed that, like, Sips's wife has a very similar sense of humor.
That always, honestly, that helps so much. Me and Mrs. F laugh every day. That is such a big thing. Here's something, Sips. I don't get this. This drives me up the wall. When you hear about couples who don't talk to each other for like days at a time.
Oh yeah,
like they'll fall out. There'll be some argument.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to him for like 3, 4, 5 days. They're just sulking about something.
That's a huge no for us. We've never done that.
Yeah, it's
like if we disagree or have an argument or something, like, it happens. You know,
right.
Like, and we'll both like be on board for it. So like we might just stand in the kitchen and yell at each other for like 20 minutes about something.
But then it's over, right?
Yeah. Then it's done and it's resolved. But like we'll never like sleep on like an issue.
Oh.
Like I don't think in 18 years we've ever gone to bed and been like, night, good night. Fuck you, like everything's
so
always resolved before the next day starts, because otherwise it's super. Yeah, I agree. I think it's unhealthy for sure.
The only way I could at all understand what this is like is because I've been reading Adam Buxton's sort of first book.
Right.
Big fan of Adam Buxton.
Yeah.
He's a comedian. He's got a good podcast.
He's good, yeah.
I think big inspiration for us as podcast people.
Uh-huh.
And he keeps a log every time he has an argument with his wife. He keeps a little log of it, of what was the triggering factor, and then what the main points were on both sides.
Who was in the wrong? It's always
her.
her.
Who ends up winning, if you like. But arguments are often precipitated by something incredibly trivial, but then bring out more withdrawn frustration. Do you know what I mean? That is like that has built up over time.
Yeah.
An argument often isn't about what you're actually arguing about. It's about like more stuff that's annoyed you over the course of. And it's also often like slightly weird stuff that's triggered the argument that you wouldn't normally. It's not always about the dishwasher or leaving the towels on the floor or something. It's about, I don't know, like I think he wanted to get a picture of his face painted on his shed, right? Because some local artist wanted to paint his face on his shed.
Sure.
And his wife just wouldn't allow it because she had to look at the shed every day out the window. She didn't really want to see a big
Yeah, that's fair enough. And he'd be like, what, you don't want to look at a picture of my face? No, I don't. Why? Like, you can imagine how that argument could proceed. But yeah,
exactly.
You don't want that.
And you could also understand how your partner, you could just be like, oh, I wouldn't think she'd have a problem with this. Why would she have a problem with this? And then even once she's told you why, it's still hard to like get it into your head.
Right.
But yes, so I'm reading his book. It's this kind of, I think it's part one, and it's sort of a combination of random stories from nowadays, coupled with kind of looking back into the 80s, because I think Adam he went through this trouble where his dad died, and then a week later David Bowie died.
Right.
And
he was
they were both very
big Bowie fan, wasn't
kind
he?
of parts of his life. I think some part of him always assumed that David Bowie was going to be eternal and be, when finally his time came, aliens would come along and beam him up or something.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
That was actually one of the harder celeb deaths, I think, for everybody to take. I certainly really. It sounds weird because they're a celebrity and you don't know them, and I get that whole argument. But when David Bowie died, I was really crushed. Like, it was awful.
Yeah.
Because he'd like one of those people that's always been there. Like, my whole life, David Bowie's been there. I love David Bowie, love his music, and it's just like, how has this happened? Because you kind of want them to go on, and then as they get older, they sort of fade into obscurity and retire, and then maybe they die, and you're like, oh, that's sad. But when they're still going and still making music, and they still seem so young and vital, comparatively speaking, it feels so much worse. It's a shame. A lot of good actors and musicians died very recently, really, in the last few years, wasn't it? Was it 2018?
Absolutely.
Was like a whole bunch of people died, I think it was.
Yeah, it's really
well,
sad.
and most recently the Rolling Stones drummer, he passed away too, didn't he?
Charlie Watts? Charlie
Watts, just a couple of days ago. Yeah, a really nice story about him. Actually, I was reading just like some stuff around him passing away, and like a lot of like the messages that people were saying about him and stuff. Apparently, back in the day, like when the Rolling Stones were not quite up and coming, but they'd sort of gotten a lot bigger and were touring excessively and stuff. They had this sort of system, Mick Jagger and the rest of them, where their romantic conquests were like recorded, like tallied up, sort of thing.
Right.
So
Oh my
like
God.
they had lists of
like a creepy diary.
Not the names, I don't think, of the people that they were sleeping with, but just kind of like the volume,
big mole,
the
huge
volume
knockers.
of people that they were sleeping with. And like Mick Jagger by the end of one tour had like 150, and I think Keith Richards had like was close behind or something like that. But then Charlie Watts just none. He was married to his wife for 57 years, and he didn't do any of that. He was just loyal to his wife. Yeah, and I just thought that was
the
really
happier of those guys?
I thought that was really
Who's the
nice.
happier?
Actually,
Mick Jagger.
Probably Mick Jagger. Just getting his. He made a song about getting his rocks off. I mean, he was just getting his rocks off all the time. Just nonstop, I guess. Yeah, he probably, in a way, did sort of win in the end. But no, I just thought it was a nice story, because you hear like of all these, the crazy times of bands becoming huge and touring and stuff, and it was just such a nice story. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
to
that
think
is
that
nice.
he used to complain when they were on tour that he couldn't sleep because he was just used to like sleeping in a bed with his wife, and that was like how he was comfortable, sort of thing. So when they were in hotels and stuff, he would constantly be like, "Oh, I didn't sleep very well last night," because he wasn't with his wife, whilst everybody else was shagging around.
That's how it works. So I wonder whether I should keep a diary, not of my sexual conquests, because quite honestly, that could be written on the back of a receipt.
I think in 2021 as well, it's massively problematic. I think you'd be cancelled in a heartbeat. I don't know how they got away with it back then. I guess it's just like different times or whatever. But like now, I feel like that's really frowned upon now, or maybe it's just because I'm a bit older or whatever. I don't know.
No, I'd be cancelled in a heartbeat. You're right. Yeah. No, so but. I do stuff, and sometimes I'm like this podcast.
Stuff.
Like
I do
well,
stuff.
what have I done this week though? I realised we did the Olympics thing this week. P-Flax, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
So P-Flax came down and
I heard about this. I wasn't sure what it was.
So there were two British Olympians, Team GB.
Yeah.
One was a modern pentathlete, Jo Muir. And
Jo Muir.
The other, she's Scottish.
Yeah.
I don't think you were supposed to pronounce it as brashly.
I know, because I said to her,
as racistly as that.
I said to her, "Is it Muir?" I said, "How do you pronounce it?" She went, "Muir." And I said, "Muir." And I said,
"Muir, laddie."
And I said, "All right." I said, "Should I say it with a Scottish accent?" She said, "I think you're gonna have to, buddy," or something like that.
Oh, God bless.
But of course, because she's a modern pentathlete, she is incredibly fit. Obviously, just really. I don't know, just not a big woman, not like about my height, but good at everything. Swimming, cycling, fencing, horse riding, everything.
Right.
And it's like she's just obviously she just looks incredibly sporty, like the perfect human. We send her into space. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To like colonize a future planet. It's like the perfect.
If it was a scene in a movie where they were like, this is the class that we're sending in as astronauts. That's the kind of just pure. Like physically, bam, absolutely on it. Yeah, 100%.
And really nice as well. And then it was Charlotte Worthington, who also is incredibly, obviously in great shape. She's the gold medal BMX winner. And me, slouching, like slightly hunched over, slightly sweaty,
nice.
like my greasy hair, and wearing these clothes that they'd sent me that were one size too big. So I'm just like, it makes me look even worse.
Nice.
So I thought they were also going to be wearing the sort of same tracksuits that I was, so we'd be matching. But they brought their own like Team GB,
yeah, they had like proper
figure hugging, like lycra outfits or whatever, and they had their own like rain jackets, hoodies as well.
Yeah.
Like they were fully prepared.
They get fully kitted out, like and fitted as well, right? Like they get properly. They don't just give them like a large and say, "Here you go." Like they get them properly fit to them and stuff too.
I guess I was just impressed because as a Brit, I still am not used to the idea of it raining, right? Because I don't go outside enough for it to be a thing. But as soon as it started raining, they didn't bat an eyelid. They didn't like try and make for cover or pick up an umbrella or say, "Oh shit, I forgot my umbrella." There was none of that. That's what I do. They just had like this hood that folded out, and it was like they were just it almost didn't affect them, right?
Right.
And so whereas I obviously had been given a t-shirt and a tracksuit bottom, I'm stood there, and it's like raining. I'm like, okay, I'll just go over here, I guess. So we did like a sports day,
right?
For charity. It was for the Red Cross. We're going to put a couple of videos out, and if you're interested in donating to the Red Cross, you can still go ahead and do that. And the video will be somewhere. You'll be able to find it. There's already a couple of fan cuts. And so it was my team of me and these Olympians versus Hat Films,
right?
Who were both fine, but also they felt like it was a bit rigged, obviously, which it was, because we did things like fencing and BMX.
It was a little rigged. That there were some events in there that
it was a little
specialty events,
rigged.
But it was funny. The Hat Films guys are so good.
Yeah, really, really fun.
Do you know what gets me is with the Hat guys, and I think one of the reasons that they work so well together is that if one of them starts doing something, they all start doing it. Like it's like they're all of one mind.
Yes.
So they're just they're so good at seeing what the other person's doing and joining in. It absolutely looks like they're
very inclusive.
A team and very together. And it looks like they plan stuff, but they haven't. They go along with it, and they are brilliant. They work so well together, and they're fucking top lads. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they're great fun. They're really positive, good energy. So for example, in the fencing, the first round was Joe, who's obviously an Olympic fencer, and she was like, "Oh, this is the one I'm worst at in the pentathlon." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, wait, that still puts you like a head and shoulders above any of these guys."
Yeah, that's true.
And so she obviously went up to fight. I think Ross went and fought her with a sword. And obviously Ross sort of looked at me and was like, well, I can't. So anyway, he went out there and she just sort of danced around him and poked him a few times. And then Charlotte, obviously, who's obviously only does BMX, right? She's never picked up a sword before. Had to go up against Trot. And what was going through Trot's mind was, how do I hit this girl with a sword and not look like a complete dick, But it turns out that Charlotte is just like a devil, and just didn't give a shit and just totally went for it. And he was left like trying to defend himself and like trying to fight her off. So he obviously got completely crushed by her as well. And so then it was me versus Smithy. And I feel like Smith's done a bunch of LARPing stuff before.
He has, yeah.
When I
extensive. Well, so is Trot, actually. Trot's like pretty big into the LARPing.
And when I was a teenager, my parents used to send me off on these sort of camps, and we occasionally did fencing, so I've done a little bit of it,
right?
And I basically, all I knew was that if you fiddle around and try and parry and block and do all this fancy stuff, all you're gonna do is get hit, right, eventually. So you just have to be really aggressive. But Smithy was also really aggressive,
right?
So we would just slamming into each other with reckless abandon. And we obviously had these foam swords, so it was fine. But man, like one time he caught me in the neck, and it was like totally knocked the wind out of me. And it was just, I don't know, it was a really good laugh.
It was a good
the
laugh.
whole day.
Yeah.
We sort of, because the whole thing happened on Clifton College, which is this really nice sort of public school.
It looks like a bit of Hogwarts dropped into Bristol. That's really what it looks like.
And so we were originally sort of trying to rent the place, and they were like, "Oh, we need $4,000, for the afternoon," and we were like, "Oh, I don't know if we can afford that." So we started looking around for other places.
$4,000.
And I know what it's expected. It's a whole football field, and they've got a whole like indoor bit, and they've got internet. They obviously, people I think host, I don't know, weddings there. Who knows what they have there? Anyway, old Tom Bates starts looking around for other places, and they found like a rugby sort of field with a little rugby pavilion. It was kind of this wide boy who was touring him around.
Right.
So obviously he was talking about, so how am I going to get paid? Is it cash in hand? What's the deal? And so Tom was just like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. And then afterwards, he emailed the rugby club, but accidentally CC'd in us.
Right.
Saying, I've got these mugs who a quick 500 quid turnaround, no problem. Do you know what I mean? It's like shit.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Obviously, he's just instantly showing off that he can make money on this thing, which is very off-putting. So obviously, we were then presented with either use this rugby guy, or nothing really, or pay a lot of money for Clifton College. But it turns out that we know someone who works at Clifton College. And so our guys got in contact with them, who got in contact with them, and we managed to knock them down a bit. So
nice.
We just didn't want to go with the rugby guy. We just thought it would be a nightmare. So in the end, Clifton College were like, "Oh yeah, it is for charity. We can do it for less." So yeah, so we were happy to do that. It was a weird event, but one of these memorable ones, right? Like doing a sports day. I love doing these live events because they are the ones that stick in your memory as stories, right? Like things that when I'm an old man, your grandchildren come round and are like, "Tell us about the old times, Lewis, Uncle Lewis." I'll be like, "Well, Let me tell you the story of how gold medal BMX Olympian kicked Hatfields in the balls.
One to remember.
And they'll be cheering.
Nice.
So yeah, that was a joy.
So
Enjoyed it
listen
immensely.
to this though. There I was in town, waiting. We had to go do some stuff, buy some stuff. We had the baby with us and the kids, and my mother-in-law was meeting us there, and I had the job of going to meet her where she was going to get dropped off to meet us. So I'm standing there waiting for her, and this young lad walks by me. It's busy. He walks by me, and then he just does this sort of like side, almost like whisper thing. He says, "I have a small penis, by the way," and just kept walking. and I said, "Thanks." I didn't even know that. It was pretty funny, actually. I think I admire that. I like the sort of like nod and carry on walking. He didn't stop or anything. He just kept going.
Just on the drive by.
Yeah, he just did a drive by. It was really nice, actually. I like that. I like a drive by. It was good. So guy that did that the other day. Lots of love, and thanks. We appreciate it. Thanks for listening to our dumb podcast, and and also thanks for announcing in public that you have a small penis as well. That's it was funny. It definitely made me laugh.
Well, that's why we
do it.
I find it awkward. I don't really want to do it. I must admit,
Right.
It's awkward.
What, podcasting?
No, well, both. Yeah, sure. We've done a good 189.
It's
episodes,
been a lot of
you know?
episodes. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how you keep track anymore. I started watching because I have all this free time. Free time. I don't have that. Like, you know what I mean. Anyway, I started watching. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. It's called On Cinema at the Cinema. It's Tim Heidecker and Greg Turkington, which started off as a kind of podcast, but they wanted to make a podcast to sort of mock people who make podcasts.
Oh.
And it started off as a movie review podcast where they would review movies, give people their expertise on the movies and critiques and stuff, but it wasn't at all, like everything just got like five bags of popcorn, and the movies that they're obsessed with are like The Hobbit and like Jack Reacher and movies like that, which is pretty funny. But anyway, the podcast then turned into like an Adult Swim kind of web series. And there's been like 12 seasons of it.
Wow.
They're really short. They're like, 5 to 10 minutes long. And you can watch them all on YouTube. There's this massive YouTube playlist of every episode. Plus there's a spin-off like action spy series called Decker.
Oh, yeah.
That starts up. And then also they do like annual Oscar award shows as well, which are like 2 hours long. So there's like this definitive playlist of everything from the On Cinema universe that I've been working my way through, and it's pretty good. It's funny. It's the character arcs and progression and stuff are great. They're really funny. Like Tim's character just sort of becomes more insane as the series roll on. He starts getting into like acupuncture and like herbal supplements and like medicinal vaping and stuff. And Greg Turkington is just sort of this self-proclaimed movie buff because he has this large collection of VHS movies. Eventually, when they stop producing VHS movies, he has to tape them like off TV and stuff onto VHS to keep his library going. It's really funny. It's not like it's not like in your face laugh out loud funny. It's like subtle sort of comedy, right? Like it's
right
with some of the funny editing and stuff like that too. It's worth watching.
I do like the eccentric, weird surreality of Tim and Eric's stuff. I think
I
Simon
like it
really
too,
likes
but
as
I
well.
like the understated stuff just as much. Like when it's
because you recommended Beef House to me, and I thought it was okay until I watched the episode with the shithose.
The shithose episode was pretty funny. Yeah.
My God,
yeah.
I died.
Yeah.
I died.
Beef House is
so
pretty funny. It's the nice thing with Beef House is it's not a massive investment. It takes like
they're 11 minutes long.
It takes
or
2 minutes
to
watch the entire series, and it's just like there's definitely some pretty funny parts in it too.
What amazes me? Tim Heidecker is incredibly prolific.
Man, he's always doing stuff. Yeah, he's done tons of stuff.
He did. What is that show he did? It's like Office Hours. He's done that for years, and has loads of guests on that. He does like multiple podcasts.
Yeah.
And he's always seems to be doing something, and he pops up in things. Like he was in I Think You Should Leave. He popped up in an episode of that.
Yeah, he's in a bunch of those. Yeah.
Yeah, you just see him pop up. He's just that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I've watched Office Hours, he's very funny, and he's good with his guests. But I think one of the things I dislike about some comedians is it never feels like they're laughing at other people's jokes.
Yeah.
Like they've got this weird thing going on. Like, you know that guy, what's his name? I don't know if his name is Avid Merrion or if it's a character. He does,
yeah.
You know that guy?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I honestly...
Keith Lemon, that guy.
That guy. I honestly couldn't tell you what his real name is. I have no
I
idea,
don't know. I think he's...
His name's Lee Francis.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so that guy, there you go. So a friend of mine a few years ago, he was a presenter that I knew, like a TV presenter that I knew, and he said that one time his agent was the same agent as Lee Francis had at the time. Obviously, this is my friend's story. I can't, tell you whether it's true or not. But they went out for a drink, the agent and my mate and Lee Francis, and they were talking about work and stuff like that. But Lee Francis was in character the whole time. Like, so he's not relaxed in the pub hanging out and talking to these other people. He's on, like he's as his character. He's appearing in the pub, and this is in a meeting with his agent and someone he's just met. And my mate was like, "That's very good, mate. I get it, but you can relax." But he wouldn't leave character. I think some people, like, I get the impression that Tim Heidecker is probably a lot of work to hang around with because he's always trying to be funny and he seems pretty nuts to me. But I'm sure he seems like more of a laugh and someone you could actually talk to. Whereas some people like Lee Francis, I think the joke is always with them and you're either along with it or not, and it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah, I feel
he's in his own little world.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like with somebody like that who's in character all the time, you're always on the outside. You're never.
Yeah, how could you ever really talk to them?
You're never part of the joke. You're like a target for the joke sort of thing.
But it's almost like he's making you the audience or the butt of the joke all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like that. I think that's just nuts. I think that is absolutely nuts. Like, how could you ever have a conversation with someone like that and think, are they actually listening, or are they just
right? Like, even if you have an agent or whatever, like you're in, if you're in character and you're trying to like talk business, like how the hell do you know like whether they're being serious or not? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of weird, but I don't know.
Pretty nuts.
It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I have got the impression he is a bit of a weird guy, but I think some people are just committed, and I respect that.
I do not respect it.
Okay.
I don't know
just
if
want to get that out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the whole thing, but I mean, it's not something that's ever directly affected me either. So it's not like I'm not like that annoyed by it. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't had to suffer through that, somebody being like that. So maybe it'd be different, if my wife was like, God, I hope she's not like that. Imagine this whole time she was just, in character, playing a character.
Well, I think you become the character that you play. We've talked about this before. Anyway, I talking about me writing a diary. I noted two other things down this week. One was that I got the letter from HSBC that said they were shutting down my business bank account,
right?
Which is a bit of a problem because it's quite important. And so I had to fill out all of this stupid anti-money laundering garbage,
right?
Which is apparently something they're making banks do now, which is fine. It just took ages. I had to get all these weird numbers. I had to get my tax identifier number. I had to get my company tax identifier number.
And you had to log on to hsbcc.com and input it all there as well and submit it.
Yeah, it was a pain. I had to take pictures of my passport and stuff and upload those.
They got everything now.
Nightmare.
Damn.
And the thing is, like, while I was doing it, the website was logging itself off in the background every fucking 5 minutes for security reasons. And so, of course, I'd have to keep starting again. It was a nightmare.
Jeez.
Anyway, I did that. I thought I'd mention that. And the other thing I did was I hung out with Boba and I told her a little story and she told me a little story. And it's the kind of thing that I want listeners to send me, right? They're like just awkward stories about everyday life. So the other day, I was picking up a box of vegetables for a friend from a shop. Okay, there's these big veggie shops. I buy vegetables. I like making soup and stuff. It's fine. I've never done this before, though.
I've
never gone to this place and picked up vegetables.
Don't judge me.
So I went there and I turned up, and the woman at the counter said, "Oh yeah, it's out
Vegetables,
back.
is it, Sonny? We've got those in spades for you. Have a box of vegetables. Here's your carrots and your onions, and there's a lovely cabbage for you.
Well, actually, she just
setting
said
the scene.
she apologised. She said,
Oh,
"I'm sorry,
we've got no vegetables for you today.
it's all turnips."
It's all
That's
turnips.
what she said. so
Turnips
so
are
I
vegetables,
laughed.
madam.
Are they? I thought they were little creatures that were sleeping. Oh, that's changed the vegetable business for me forever.
So I laughed, okay, and she didn't sort of react and hurried off. And then a man came back
different man.
with a covered box of vegetables, and he looked at me seriously and he said, "Sorry, sir, it's all vegetables. It's all turnips.
Sorry,
it's all
sir,
turnips."
it's all turnips
He made the
this
same
week.
joke. So I was like, "Ha ha ha, really?" Because I wasn't actually at that point. I wasn't sure whether he was joking or not. And then obviously he looked at me awkwardly as if to say, "Are you an idiot?" Of course it's a joke. And then it was just a box of random vegetables that they had left over that were all sort of going out of date.
Just a little joke, sir. We do it.
But it went through this like thing in my head where I was like, was the first woman not joking? And I just laughed in her face. And then, there was this whole moment where I doubted myself. I was still like 50% sure that this wasn't going to be all turnips, but there was this moment where I was just like, oh, shit, have I just really
Is this
put my
actually
foot in
just
it
going to
here?
be all turnips? Like you were worried that it was just going to be.
I had
fully just
been
turnips.
through this.
Don't worry, sir. We've cut, shaped, and painted the turnips to resemble other vegetables. You won't be able to tell the difference.
It really is just all turnips. Is it? Isn't it? What an existential crisis for Lewis Brindley.
I know. So this was it's just a bit of a moment for me. So I anyway, it's fine. We made some soup and it's all good. But it was a nice time. It was a nice social event. Before we carry on,
Oh man! Before you start, can I just say, man, my balls are. It's like a casserole down there. I don't know what's going on. It's a mess. It's like a
What
jungle.
kind of casseroles are you making?
Hairy ones.
with the turnips. All those turnips are getting out of control. You guys need to check out the new Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. I actually bought one of these for my friend,
Right.
and he loved it.
Right.
That's the friend I'd be talking about, Tom.
Magnet finger.
On
Yeah.
Magnet Finger, drives a Tesla, very nice man. He was delighted to receive his Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, his Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner,
Holy
and also
crap.
they throw in some briefs and a little travel bag, which is amazing.
Sounds like Christmas in August.
It's great. So, you got to make sure your package is smooth and fresh, ready for autumn, ready for, whatever you're going to do, the leaves coming down off the trees.
If you have been trimming your gonad hair with a lighter, like I have for years,
Yeah.
get with the fucking program in 2021. There's a better way, people.
Yeah.
There's
That's
a better
right.
way.
You can get 20% off and free shipping by going to manscaped.com/Triforce. Your balls will thank you. On with the show. What else? So, yeah, Boba then told me her story, which I think I can recount. She won't mind. She was getting an Uber Eats.
It was just turnips.
A man pulled up in a turnip carriage.
with a turnip costume on.
Couldn't get the pumpkin carriage today, madam. It's all turnip carriages all the way
No,
back.
it was just a story of awkward things that happened. So she's waiting for Uber Eats, and the man turns up outside and starts putting stuff down on the pavement. So she comes out of her house, and obviously it's America, so she's got her cash tip ready. She's got $5, which is all the money she's got in cash, but she's going to give it to this Uber Eats guy. So she gives it to him, and he sort of takes it and looks at her strangely. And at that exact moment, the Uber Eats guy comes around the corner, and this is just a different man dropping off some delivery for a different person. Apparently, she's sort of horrified, and what do you do in that situation?
Snatch
you
the
guys?
money back and give it to the Uber Eats guy.
What?
Right,
Wait,
snatch it
sorry,
back.
I missed something. What? So somebody dropped food off on the pavement, and she was going out to get the food, and then somebody else turned up. And what's the problem?
It's the actual guy. So she's tipped the wrong guy. She's already given this guy a $5 tip, even though
it was the wrong
he's
order.
delivering groceries for someone else. And the thing is, she said to the Uber Eats guy, if you come up to the house, I'll give you a tip. So he's expecting a tip as well. The guy who's just turned up.
Oh crap!
I know, it's a disaster. I've told the story worse than she told it, which she'll be mad at me for, but I still think it's worth recounting. So what was your solution, Sips, to this quandary?
Man, I don't know. I don't order food to my house, so like I've never been in this situation like where.
Well, you're now in it. You know, we put
so
you in
this
it.
would have been in America, right?
Well,
This is in America.
like this again. I don't have a dog in the fight. Like I just say, well, sorry, Bucko. Like whatever. You know,
Bucko.
Which one are you saying sorry to? The one who doesn't get the tip. You saying, "Oh, I've given the tip to that guy." Sorry.
Yeah. Just say, "Oh God, there's a mix-up. I don't have any money left there. Peace."
Well, Boba asked for the money back, so she was
For
like,
what,
"Can
the
I
tip
have
money?"
Yes, she was like, "Oh, sorry, that wasn't for you. It was for this guy. Can I have it back?"
Right.
And I think he gave it back, and then I think she gave it to the right guy. So she actually got out of it somehow unscathed. But I would have done what you'd done, Sips. I wouldn't have had the balls to ask that guy for the money back.
Yeah,
I think I would have rather apologized
in
to the
America,
second
it's
guy.
different though because I think everyone expects a tip there, right? But
Right.
In the UK, it's not. The tipping culture is not the same, right? You can get away with not tipping in certain circumstances. So, are you putting yourself in America for this story as well, or
This story is in America, yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're in
That's
America
where
and not tipping somebody.
I did say that.
Oh man, they got guns over there, you know.
Could you stop playing Final Fantasy and pay attention to the
I'm
story?
not
It wasn't
playing.
that complicated
I am.
to follow.
Look, I'm not playing Final Fantasy. I'm listening to the story. I'm trying to follow along. You're saying it's not complicated, but like I'm like falling asleep like every 5 seconds here while you're telling it. It's hard to keep up.
Do you wait for the other person whose delivery you mistakenly assumed yours was to come out of their house and tip? Because then that guy might get a double tip, is what I'm saying. But then you have to stop them and say, sorry, no, I've already tipped your man. Can you then tip my man? But that banks on them also be understanding that there's a tip. And also the tip might be different. It might only be like $1 tip instead of a $5 tip. There's this whole can of worms.
Man,
there.
this is making me feel a bit sick, honestly. Like, it's such a convoluted mess for no reason. Just boil some pasta and move on. Like, I don't know why people get themselves into these huge muddles. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
It's not that huge of a muddle. It's more of just a sort of a small accident that leads to awkward social consequences.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a shame that you can't just leave the tip when you're ordering. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I do.
Order a
you
pizza for
online.
$10 and then just put in like a $5 tip. So like you just pay $15 and then they just drop it off at your house. They don't even need to.
Well, the problem is that what you tend to get is the companies always keep that, though. Do you know what I mean? They're always so scummy, they don't give it back to the staff.
But come on.
That tip is basically just becomes extra revenue for Starbucks.
Then they can sort it out instead of me having to sort out, giving a tip to the wrong person and then having to awkwardly ask for it back and give. I mean, come on, Jesus Christ.
This is the price you pay, though, for being a person.
I guess so, yeah.
In the world.
It just seems so. It seems like
the world is a maze of social traps. You have to navigate it like a series of orcs blundering to their death blindly. So yeah, I'm trying to analogize it for you.
So depressing, isn't it? Like, holy crap! How have we arrived at this point?
We are all just orcs running through.
Think of all the people throughout history that fought for this. I mean, it's sad, really. Like all of that sacrifice just so that somebody can fucking order an Uber Eats and pay the wrong guy a tip. I mean, Jesus.
And then fucking fret about it. That was
yeah.
You know what? I've been watching some movies over the last couple of weeks, and quite often, like I've been watching some older movies from time to time as well, chucking them in there. And there are some tropes that you get popping up again and again that characterize the hero antagonist sort of macho type. In a lot of these films, all right. So
the enemy is often bad to animals. They'll like hit a dog.
Right. But so these are things that the good guy does that are meant to, I guess, make them appear tough and manly.
Right.
Okay.
So let's say there's a situation. Note these down, buddy. If they're ever in any kind of survival situation, they're stranded somewhere or something like that, and there's some water, the hero type will never drink it. He's always like, drink some water. You should drink some water. To the rest of them, they're like, are you going to have some as well? It's like, not thirsty. I'm like, dude, you've been working as much as them.
Majorly parched.
You must be parched. Your lips look pretty dry. Have some fucking water. Like, it's nothing to do with being macho. It's just the human body. If you go to a gym and anybody's working out, anybody that's working out says, don't need water. No thanks. You'd be like, you're a fucking idiot, mate. Like, you should be drinking water. Your body needs water. You are mostly water. What is wrong with you?
I love that, though. That is such a good one. I've definitely seen that
That's
before.
never how it starts, though, right? That's the reluctant hero that then does that, right? Like, they'll spend the first half of the movie drinking all the water to themselves and staying super hydrated and stuff. And then when it counts, then they'll, pass up on the water so that everybody else can have some.
But it's the same with food.
And that's the turning point in the relationship, right? Everybody's like, thinks this guy's an asshole, but he's got to save the world. We're just going to have to put up with it. But then it turns out, oh my God, he does have a heart after all.
He didn't even drink the water. And he hasn't eaten in multiple days. And every time we tell him, he just tells us to get some rest. You should get some rest.
Right.
I'll take first watch. It's like, dude, you've been up for 47 hours. You've had nothing to eat. You have nothing to drink. Frankly, I think there are better choices in the group to act as Eccentric.
Yeah,
because I'm not even sure you're all there. Your blood sugar's going to plummet. You're going to pass out. Drink, eat, rest, please. This is important. We can take it in shifts.
Is this how I should have behaved on the
This is what you should have done to the Olympics Day. No water. I don't need water. If they're ever hurt or anything like that, take this. It'll help with the pain. No thanks.
You have to have a clean slate to pull first watch, though. You can't be the tired hero, and you can also not be the tortured hero with the skeletons in their closet as well. Because if you're on first watch, your mind's wandering, right? And you're thinking about that time that you couldn't save the puppy from the inferno or whatever, and it's torturing you.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the Taliban are sneaking in. You know what I mean? And you don't even see it happening.
I personally think it's a cop-out taking first watch because they're more likely to attack at dawn.
Yeah, you're fresh too,
before
right?
dawn. Yeah.
First watch, you're still super.
Rest.
Yeah, if you're taking second watch, you're waking up after 2 hours of sleep.
And
you're groggy
I'm saying,
as shit.
if you're worried about being jumped in the night, I think they're going to wait until they think you're all asleep or super groggy, and then you've got third watch guy up, who's like your last pick, basically. He's going up there, and he's on watch. He's like, or he's been asleep. He wants to go back to sleep. That's when you attack. Just pre-dawn, everyone's still asleep. They haven't had anything to eat or drink yet. That's when you strike. Not 5 minutes after they've bedded down and they've all got their guns and they're all adrenaline's still going. So hero taking the first watch is a cop-out. He should say, I'll take the 4 a.m. watch, the worst watch. I'll take that. That's what he should be
That's the real
doing.
hero move.
Because who wants to get up at 4 a.m.? So another thing, if they ever do take any kind of medicine, they take it with a huge slug of whiskey. Like, they're taking any kind of pills.
That's how you're not supposed to take medicine.
Yeah.
That's always on the label.
But they're so tough that the whiskey,
to
them is like, it's like water to me. Look, and they're taking their tablets.
Right.
They never seem to have any friends. Everyone they know, they seem to begrudgingly acknowledge that they are aware of their existence. They're never sort of, hey, buddy, like hugging, and it's also like, Tony, what's going on? Sorry about what I did to your wife. That kind of shit. Like, why does anyone have anything to do with this guy? He's a fucking twat. And another thing that you see pop up, if, let's say, they have to go to someone for some assistance, and this guy's like, he's a criminal, but he's not one of the bad criminals, He's not one of the guys that's like murdering people and stuff. He's just vaguely a criminal guy that they know. Like, I know a guy. And they go see that guy, and they explain their problem, and their friend will say, I got some moves I can make on the street. You'll have to trust me on this one. I don't trust you. But I've got some moves I can make on the street. And then he just makes a call or talks to a guy, and now he's got all the information. It's out there on the street. So what I want to know is, what is this intelligence network that exists on the street? That this guy who previously had no knowledge of their situation can make a phone call or talk to a mate, suddenly they know everything. How? Who's blabbing? Shut that person up. There are leaks all over the street. I wouldn't trust it. Because if you're asking about it, they're going to know who is asking about it. It's going to feed back. If the street is this leaky, you cannot trust it as a source, because even going to the source reveals you in a way.
Yeah, well,
right.
It's one of those things where it's like keep your friends close but your enemies closer, and that's how you have to treat the street as well. Because on the one hand, the street will help you with the information that you need, but also on the other hand, the street may be your undoing too. Like it'll find out all your secrets and spread them, and there'll be nowhere to hide. I think it's just the nature of the streets. I think
Live by the street, die in the gutter.
Yeah.
Is it the underground orphan network from the boxing club or whatever?
It's all the orphans from Oliver. It's like that.
Yeah,
Sherlock
and he goes
Holmes,
out and
didn't he?
feeds them in the soup kitchen.
Yeah.
like
But
you know,
Sherlock
on the
Holmes
weekends.
had a gang of street toughs that he could call on. I can't remember the name of the lad. He would whistle out of his window, and a lad would run up, and he'd say, "I need you to
you're
find
right.
out everything you can about this man," and they'd go off, and it's just on the street. I just think it's interesting that this exists as a
urchins.
concept, and people just buy it. I mean, if I just went out onto the street now and started asking questions from all the ne'er-do-wells in the area, I doubt they'd suddenly have the full scoop on everything. It
No,
seems crazy.
you have to embed yourself into the street to find out the stories of the street, though. You know what? You know David Simon, the guy who wrote The Wire.
Yeah.
He wrote a book called The Corner.
The Corner, yeah.
Based on, he was like an investigative journalist, but he would embed himself for a long period of time into these neighborhoods and sort of live with these people like for a year at a time or whatever. And spend a lot of time with them, and just to find out these stories, to see how it works and stuff, because it's notoriously difficult to get into the inner circle of some of these.
I mean, if that's talking about a neighborhood, like I can absolutely
that's
understand
talking
that.
about the streets. Are you talking about the streets, or are you not?
Right, but a neighborhood is a very small area. I'm talking about
That's the
these
streets.
guys. That's a street. That's like a street.
The street.
This guy is,
No.
I'm talking about a whole city worth of knowledge that these
Okay,
guys.
nobody has that much knowledge. Everybody's
that's
got
my
like
point.
a limited geography. Like
That's
you,
my
you only
point.
hang out in your hood. You're not going to someone else's hood.
Right.
That's how gang wars start. Flax.
Exactly. That's my point. Is that he's talking about? I got some moves I can make on the street to either buy you some time or get
Yeah,
some knowledge.
one
but we're
street,
talking
though.
like citywide. That's what they're saying in the movies. I feel you haven't been listening to my point here because you're agreeing with me.
Nobody has
in
a
an
citywide
angry
scope
way.
of information. It's impossible.
Exactly. And yet it pops up in movie after movie.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, sorry.
I feel like what you're leading to though is like it's like almost like a series of rules that are obeyed completely irrationally. It's like our hero cannot have any help from anyone, even if that includes someone putting a bandage on him.
Oh, but is she unless she's the hot woman? Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, it's all following these strange heroic rules of badassery.
Yeah.
That he can't, it's like if he goes to sleep first, it's like, oh, I'll be first into the fray. I'll be like, stand behind me as I charge towards these guys. Like he's always going to be that. That's why he has to have first watch, even though it's irrationally bad.
Right.
He just has to be first. He has to do it.
All right, so imagine if it was reversed, and instead he was like, we'll bed down here for the night. You take first watch, I'm going to get some shut-eye. Like that would, for some reason, that would seem less heroic.
Imagine you're like fourth or fifth watch, and you're like, "Hey, how did the previous 4 watches go? Yeah, no problems on those. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
This is the last watch. It's going to happen on one of these watches, and I got fucked here. I'm on the worst
And
one.
if there was food and water, and the hero's like, "Give me that water. Give me the food. I need food." Like, it wouldn't look heroic.
No, not at all.
I think,
yeah.
oddly enough, it seems stupid.
Starts
but
crying because he's so
doesn't make
cranky
sense.
he didn't get
Yeah.
enough sleep and stuff.
I got the shakes. I need my blood sugar's super low. Come on, help me out. I've been hurling all day. I'm exhausted. He's always taking medication. Where's my aspirin inhaler? I need my allergy pills. I need my allergy pills. It would suck. He would seem less heroic, even though it would be more realistic.
Yeah.
I think everything has to lead into the feedback into that mad, even though the rules are that they don't make sense when you think about them. At the time, it just brushes over the idiot part of your brain.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it teaches bad lessons. Do you know what I mean? Like you certainly do meet people who it feels like everything they've learned has been from watching stupid TV,
Yeah.
and they behave and say things that stupid TV characters say.
Yeah.
I definitely meet these people, and I'm always sort of surprised by like how they don't think about what they're doing. Like it certainly happens when you see arguments and stuff. Like people just seem to quote like TV characters. They say it's a feedback loop as well, right? Because then people are like, oh, this is how people. I've recorded these people having a real argument, which obviously is not real because it's just them repeating stuff they've seen on the telly, and they're like, well, that must be how people actually talk. So let's put that in our TV show as a real argument.
Yeah,
it's feedback. Feeds back into itself. And ends up you end up in this weird situation where you're arguing about stuff you don't care about and no one should be arguing about. It's weird.
It is weird.
Life is weird.
Life is like a box of chocolates and is weird as well, yeah.
I hate that saying.
Yeah, me too.
Because you absolutely know what you're going to get. Like,
yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Sometimes you do, yeah.
If I buy a box of Maltesers, there's a menu in every pack. I don't even know why that line became famous.
Rebels. You don't necessarily know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's the specific advertising.
Okay, that's what it should be then. Life is like a bag of Revels.
A bag of Revels. And everybody
you
was
never
saying,
know what you're going to get. You're going to bite into the coffee one.
I honestly don't think I'd buy a box of chocolates if I didn't know what was in there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Also,
I don't want to get a random... It's like life is like a box of vegetables.
A box of turnips.
Yeah, you just get the turnips. It could all be turnips. Yeah, it could just all be turnips.
Also, if you're eating chocolates, who just fumbles around in a box and just grabs whatever and then takes a bite? I always look, what is on the menu this evening?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the strawberry creams. Oh, the caramel.
For example, celebrations. I want to make sure I'm not picking up a bounty by accident.
Oh, I love a bounty. I'll have all the bounties when you finish.
I'll save them for you then because they suck. Big
bounties
balls.
Are great.
Oh my god.
No, but there's always one or two that a family doesn't like.
Yeah, it's
and
bounty.
Sometimes you'll go and you'll visit and you'll look in their almost empty box of celebrations and it's
just
either
bounties.
Oh, I'd be so happy.
But sometimes it's like a jackpot, you know, that they don't like bounties, but you do.
Right.
Does your wife like the bounties?
No, none of us do.
I don't think Mrs. F is a massive fan of bounties.
Nobody in my family will eat a bounty. We refuse.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a lot of good food going to waste in your place, apparently.
Well,
yeah, because he's just buying bounties every day. Of course it's not going to waste. It's like a few fucking bounties. Jesus.
Yeah, it's like 4 mini bounties. Like it's no
barely
big
adds up to a regular bounty.
It stacks up over time.
Yeah.
You know, all these events, all these, you know,
They don't
baby
keep 'em.
birthday celebrations.
He doesn't have the
stuff.
bounty cupboard. Don't open that cupboard. It's just mounted of bounties.
Oh, look at there!
Rolling out.
I don't want to see me like this.
I really want a cupboard that. Don't open that. Like I'd love to have that cupboard.
I really want that. Yes.
Man, you know what we're gearing up to do? We're getting containers. We're gonna buy bulk like in containers. We're gonna stop buying like cereal, pasta, flour, nuts, like all rice, all that shit. We're gonna get containers and just buy them out of the dispensers because one of our supermarkets has that now, which is pretty good.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
We had to replace all the paper bags and plastic bags of stuff in the long-term cupboard because we had a moth infestation of pantry moths. And if you have a bag of flour and you open it, use a bit of flour and then you roll the top over, even if you put a clip on it, the moths lay their eggs around the entrance to the bag. So you go to use the flour and there's all fucking moths there and like their little pupae and stuff. I was like, what the fuck? Like,
fuck the pupae. Fuck their pupae.
Fucking pupae. I mean, they laid them in our hammock over the winter, opened up the hammock when the summer started. It was covered in silk, moth silk. They get everywhere.
Yeah.
So what you've got to do is transfer everything into these big plastic, lockable, sealable containers so they can't get in there anymore. Moth problem gone. It's cleared up.
Yeah.
Straight away. So you got a pantry moth problem. The problem is your bags of long-term stuff that you think, oh, that's fine. It's a bag of flour. Fold over the top, clip it, no problemo. The moths will fucking get in there, son. You got to seal that shit up.
You got to get it in a container. Yeah, it's nice. It's just a lot less stuff to go in the garbage too. You know.
Oh yeah.
Trying to reduce the amount of crap that we throw out. You know, like we produce a lot of garbage.
But you have to take the containers to the shop with you, right?
Yeah. So you got to just put them all in a box or whatever, and then put them in the trolley.
So when it comes to checkout, how does it?
So you get it. So the empty container, you weigh it and you put a barcode on it,
right?
And then once you fill it with goods, you then put another barcode on it. They scan both, and then it evens out.
They take the difference. Job done. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's good.
You have some nice like sealable.
So way in the future, Body Shop are doing it as well for like shampoo and stuff. If you I don't know if you guys buy anything from
God.
Body Shop, but we
I have
tend
not been to Body Shop in years.
We tend to
Very
from time to
expensive.
time, and it's they're going to be doing that as well. They're gonna, like big dispensers where you can just refill your stuff rather than buying
I remember hearing about that.
packaging all the time, which is pretty good. I'm down for some of that. Honestly, I like that.
Yeah, I
like
think that's good for the planet. I don't think many people are going to actually use it though, because people are lazy.
It's true. Yeah. But I mean, I want to do it because
you have to start somewhere.
I just think it makes more sense. I'd rather have that like organization in my life. You know what I mean? Like not like to go crazy with it, but I don't know. I just feel like it annoys me when you just constantly have like all these plastic bottles and shit to throw out.
If you're filling up a bag in a supermarket from one of those big things, take a picture and tweet it at us.
No, I will not. But
no, not you.
Oh,
Everyone
right, sorry.
else.
Right,
And
yeah.
also tell me your awkward social stories. I want to hear them. I want more people to tell me. Make sure that I'm not alone in just.
What are we going to
awkward-
call the segment?
Yeah.
Oh.
I tell you what, we need to come up with a segment, and I think we should start naming it after the first week, when we start to figure out what kind of problems people are having and shape the title around.
I see.
Let's
sort of
call the
first
segment
week of
"Fix My Life." That'd be good. That's a good segment.
It needs to be more.
We'll
needs to be
fix
more
your life.
More punchy, and we're not. If we promise that, Sips,
Ruin
we have
my
to
life.
deliver. We have to deliver. Please ruin my life more. That kind of thing.
Make my life insufferable with all these weird systems that you're devising. That's what we call the segment.
Very
That's a good
catchy.
idea.
Yeah.
I think we'll look and see what the first week of Problemos sent into Lewis looks like, and we'll come up with a name based off that.
Oh God.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. You can follow Triforce on Spotify to get new episodes as soon as they come out every Wednesday. And until next week, I love you. Take it easy.
Have fun.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.